Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're not going to get bogged down in a bunch of technical jargon. Instead, we're going to break down something that's essential to all of our lives now: cybersecurity. We're going to pull back the curtain on the threats out there and show you some really simple but powerful ways to keep yourself safe online. So let's get right into it.
So let's start with a really basic question. Who actually wants your personal data? It's easy to think, oh, I'm just a regular person, nobody's interested in me. But you couldn't be more wrong. The reality is, your data is a goldmine in the digital world. The real question isn't if someone wants it, but who wants it. And the answer, well, it might surprise you a little. It's not just some shadowy hacker in a dark room. There are actually a few different groups, and they all want your data for totally different reasons. First up, you've got the cybercriminals, right? They're looking for identity theft, direct financial gain. Then you have corporations. They're collecting every scrap of data they can to build these incredibly detailed profiles on you for advertising. And yeah, governments are in on it too, gathering huge amounts of data for intelligence and surveillance. The main takeaway here is that your data is in high demand from pretty much every angle.
But why? Why is it so valuable? Well, because your data isn't just a list of random facts about you. It is you, online. It's your digital identity. Just think about it for a second. Your search history, your emails, every post you've liked, every online purchase, all those little pieces get woven together to create this detailed picture of who you are. And because that digital person has real-world value, it can absolutely be stolen and used against you. Okay, so we know people are after our data. The next pretty obvious question is how they get it. How do they actually break in? Let's take a look at the most common ways that attackers get past our digital defenses.
So it really boils down to two main ways in: social engineering and malware. Now, think of social engineering as basically a digital con game. It's not attacking your computer, it's attacking you. It uses things like phishing emails or those urgent-sounding text messages to trick you into just handing over the keys. Malware, on the other hand, well, that's the more direct technical attack. That's the malicious software, viruses, spyware, you name it, that gets onto your device and just works quietly in the background, stealing your info. One attacks your brain, the other attacks your machine.
And that right there gets to one of the fundamental truths of all of this. It's not always about cracking some super complex algorithm. The easiest way into almost any secure system is to just exploit human nature. Our curiosity, our trust, sometimes even our fear. You could have the best security setup in the entire world, but just one bad click can make all of it completely worthless.
Okay, but let's just say for a second, they're not trying to trick you. What happens when an attacker decides to just come straight for the front door? When they try to brute force your password, how safe are you then, really?
All right, this chart is where things get really eye-opening. It pretty much destroys every myth we've ever been told about passwords. Just look at this. The word password, it's gone instantly. A computer cracks that in less than a second. Okay, so you add a capital letter, maybe a symbol, like P at sword. That buys you about 3 weeks. But watch what happens when you just add length. A slightly longer, more complex password like PSWARDO1231. That jumps to 400 years. And then, look at this. A long, simple, memorable phrase pass. We're talking about 3 nonillion years to crack. That's a 3 with 30 zeros after it. The lesson here is crystal clear. Length beats complexity every single time. It's not even close.
Okay, I know, that might seem a little terrifying. But don't worry, the whole point here isn't to scare you, it's to empower you. So now we're going to pivot away from the threats and talk about the solutions. Let's talk about how you can build your very own digital fortress using just a few simple, really powerful moves.
So the first and honestly most powerful upgrade you can make is the passphrase. We just saw how a long one can take basically forever to crack. So forget trying to remember some crazy jumble of letters and symbols like Troubadour 4-door and 3. It's just not necessary. The modern way is way simpler and much stronger. Just pick 4 or more random words and string them together. That's it. Aim for at least 15 characters, because as we just proved, length is everything.
A strong passphrase. That's like having a really good lock on your front door. It's fantastic, and it's going to stop most people. But for your most important accounts, I'm talking email, banking, the real crown jewels, you need to add a deadbolt.
And that deadbolt? That is two-factor authentication, or 2FA. It's a simple idea, but it adds this massive layer of security. To get in, you need two things. First, your password, which is something you know. And second, a temporary code that's usually sent to your phone, which is something you have. This means that even if a thief manages to steal your password, it's useless to them. They can't get in because they don't physically have your phone. Seriously, if you only do one thing after watching this explainer, make it this. Enable 2FA. It is that powerful.
So, we've covered a lot of ground. Let's boil it all down to a clear, simple action plan. Here are 3 things, 3 high-impact moves you can make right now that will dramatically boost your online security.
So here it is, your 3-point security checklist. First, go on a hunt. Find your most important passwords and swap them out for long, memorable passphrases. Second, go install that deadbolt. Turn on two-factor authentication, especially for your email, your banking, and your social media. And third, and this is a big one, train yourself to just pause before you click. Develop a healthy sense of suspicion. It is your best and your first line of defense against so many of these attacks.
And that brings us to our final thought. Your digital life, your online identity. It is incredibly valuable. It's a huge part of who you are in the world today. So the question I want to leave you with is a simple one. Are you actually protecting it like you should be? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.